आजच्या सेशनची सुरुवात आपण प्रार्थनेने करूया. गुरुर ब्रह्मा गुरुर विष्णू गुरुर्देव महेश्वरा गुरु साक्षात परब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरुवे नमः. श्री स्वामी समर्थ महाराज की जय. श्री गुरुदेव दत्त. श्री त्र्यंबकेश्वर महाराज की जय. गंगा गोदावरी माता की जय. सद्गुरु परम पूज्य मोरे दादान की जय. श्री स्वामी समर्थ गुरु माऊलीन की जय. भारत माता की जय. तुम्हाला स्क्रीनवर एक श्लोक दिसत आहे. नहि कश्चित विज्ञानाति किम कस्य भविष्यति अथ श्व करिणीयानि कुर्य दैव बुद्धिमान. The translation is, one never knows what will happen tomorrow. Therefore, wise men should do tomorrow's task today itself. म्हणजे उद्या काय होईल हे आपल्याला माहित नसतं. त्याच्यामुळे जी हुशार माणसं असतात किंवा हुशार लोक असतात ते आपलं काम आधीच वेळेवर करतात. म्हणून आपण आपलं काम नेहमी वेळेवर करावं. आपला होमवर्क, आपले प्रॅक्टिस जे आहे ते आपण जर वेळेच्या वेळेवर केली तर तुम्हाला चांगलं फ्लुएंट इंग्लिश बोलता येईल. गुड आफ्टरनून ऑल ऑफ यू. टुडे we are going to learn forming questions in past tense using was, where. See, now we will form some short questions as we have already seen how to form sentences. Like here you can see on the screen affirmative sentence, they were happy. Now while forming question, always the auxiliary verb will come first, then your subject, and then verb and the remaining part. Now here they were happy. In this sentence auxiliary verb is were, so we have taken it first, where, then the subject they, and the remaining part. Here verb is happy, happy and question mark. Were they happy? This is your question, yes no question. Now you can answer yes they were, or negative answer will be no they weren't. Okay, when you are giving negative answer you have to first start with no, and you also have to add not to the auxiliary verb. Were will become weren't, was will become wasn't. Okay, so this is very easy. You can form some questions and type it in the chat box using was, where. Now see, was John late for work? This is another question. Was is the auxiliary verb, then your subject is John, verb late, main verb is late, and the extension for work. Was John late for work? Yes, he was. Now this is your positive answer. While giving negative answer, how will you give? Just type it in the chat box. If he was late for the work, how we will tell it? You'll start with no, comma, no, he, and you have to take auxiliary verb was, and you have to add not. No, he wasn't. Okay, now form some questions using was and where. It is very easy. I'll show you some more questions here. Now see, was I correct? Was I early? And answers also given here. Affirmative answers and negative answers. Were you busy yesterday? Were you cold last night? Were you and John ready? Were you both embarrassed? Were they hungry? Were Mike and Jack worried? Was he late again? Was Steve frustrated? Was she a good student? Was Mary at home last night? Was it difficult? Was your dog sick last night? Now see, in these all the questions we have used was and were in the starting, and then we have taken the subject I, you, they, Mike, he, Steve, Mary, it, your dog. Okay, all these subjects are there, and then the verb or the remaining part. Okay, now form some questions using was and were and type it in the chat box. This is very easy. When you are asking questions in the past tense, you can ask in such a way. Now, was the science lesson good yesterday? There are options given. Yes, the lesson was. No, he wasn't. Which is the correct answer? Yes, it was. No, it wasn't. There is one wrong answer here. You have to type it in the chat box. Which is the wrong answer? Was the maths homework difficult for Anna? Yes, it was. Yes, she was. Yes, it were. No, it wasn't. Okay, was the math homework difficult for Anna? So they're talking about the math homework. So the subject you will use it, not she here. Now the next example is, was Mia happy at the PE lesson? Now you can type your answers, negative or affirmative, in the chat box. Was Thomas at home last night? Next. Now see, while forming yes-no questions, we have seen how we form the yes-no questions. Here are some examples. There are statements given. Again, the negative statements are given. Yes-no question is there. And short answers are there. I was here. Now, while forming this in the negative format, while forming negative sentence, you will say, I was not here. And the question will be, the auxiliary verb will come first, was, then your subject, was I, and the remaining part, was I here? Now you can give answer, yes, you were, no, you were not. Okay, in this way, these sentences are given here. You can check out with this. You were happy. Now again the question will be, were you happy? Yes, I was. No, I was not. When we use the subject I, with I, always we use was. I was, he was, she was, it was. And with you, we, they, we use were. You were, they were, we were. Okay, with these three we use were. Now here are these examples. You can now form questions in this way. Now see, some sentences are provided here. You have to form questions using these sentences. He was a good son. Question, was he a good son? Next, his dad was a farmer. Now you have to form question. You have to take auxiliary verb first, then the subject and the object or remaining part, and then the question mark. She was at home. She was at home sleeping. My mother was working yesterday. We were very happy to see you. Your brother was a great dancer. He was in Paris last night. Now these sentences you turn into the question. Form the question using these statements. There is one more in continuous tense. In the next slide, I will teach you how to form questions in the continuous tense. Present continuous and past continuous. So now form questions using these auxiliary verb. Was where. This is very easy. All of you type your answers in the chat box. Now the next. Questions in continuous present and past. Say when you're forming questions in continuous past or present, for present we take am, is, are, or any one of these. So this is for continuous tenses. Any one of these auxiliary verb plus subject plus verb plus ing. This is the format of your question. Now you can see here the present continuous tense. Yes, no question. Now I am wearing a white sweater. In this statement you can see subject plus auxiliary verb plus ing. So this is present continuous tense. While forming question, this is yes no question, so we will take auxiliary verb first. I am, then the subject I, Verb as it is. Am I wearing a white sweater? Yes, you are. He is reading an interesting book. This is also a continuous present tense. So while forming question, we will take is first, then the subject and the verb with ing form. Is he reading an interesting book? No, he isn't. The third example is, you can see now the third example. Aaron and Elmer are playing soccer. Now here Aaron and Elmer, these are subjects. Are auxiliary verb and playing is your verb with ing. Now we will take are first. Are Aaron and Elmer playing soccer? Isn't it easy, all of you? Form questions in continuous present tense now and type it in the chat box. Now there are some questions in past continuous tense. See, here are some sentences. You were watching television last night. They were studying math yesterday. Okay, these sentences also you have to change into the question in the same way. You will take first auxiliary verb, then the subject, and then the verb with ing. Were you watching television last night? When we are starting question with was, were, in continuous tense, your verb will always accompany ing. Were they studying math yesterday? Was I washing the dishes when the phone rang? Was she reading the book when they came? Was it raining yesterday evening? See, these are all questions in continuous past tense. You can observe here, there are auxiliary verbs was or were, then the subject is there, you, they, I, she, it, and the verb is with ing and then extension. Okay, the next is now WH questions. Now, most of the time we don't understand which WH word to use and how to use it. See, when we are asking a question about a person, we use who are you, who is he, who is she. When we are talking about some person, we always use who. When we are talking about a place, we use where. When we are talking about a thing, we use what. And when we talk about time, we use when. If you have to ask some reason, if you're asking for a reason, we use why. When you are asking about an option or choice, you use which. Okay? When we talk about number, then we have to use how many. When we are talking about distance, we have to use how far. So this chart, you will fix it in your mind, so there won't be any problem asking questions. Now you can form questions using WH words. When in the continuous tense we are forming questions using WH words, the formula will be same. Just you have to add WH word in the starting. What am I eating? So WH word, auxiliary verb, subject, and then your verb with ing. Why are you crying? Where is he going? When is she arriving? Okay, in this way. Now you form some questions using WH words. Any statement you can form first in continuous tense, and that same statement you can change into the question. This is very easy because most of the time we have to ask questions and we don't understand how to form questions. So study this chapter properly, and I have already told you, always try speaking, because if just keep on writing, it will be difficult for you to speak up. Every day you have to do practice of speaking. Just stand in front of the mirror and speak whatever you have written, or ask your friend, or you can also talk on the phone also with your friend in English. Both of you can write the piece of conversation. You can write some questions and ask your friend to answer, and your friend will also ask you some questions and you will answer. So in this way, keep on doing the conversation every day, at least for 10 to 15 minutes. Thank you all of you for joining the class. Practice whatever we have learned today. We'll meet tomorrow. Tomorrow's class will not be at 12 o'clock. It will be at 1 o'clock. Thank you. Shri Swami Samarth.